I've been using this specific ProMist filter for a few months now, and I want to share my experiences and how I navigated my workflow to maximize the results that I got with this ProMist filter. And to answer the question, should you use ProMist filters in your portrait photography? Well, let's find out. Hello everyone, my name is Joe, welcome to the Genius of Joe. Today, we'll be discussing, should you use ProMist filters in your portrait photography? Well, before I answer that question, I just want to quickly introduce myself. My name is Joe. I'm a professional portrait photographer looking to help other portrait photographers like yourself go from making work that is quite boring and bland to creating work with a distinctive style that actually stands out to the rest of the competition and get more clients. If that seems interesting to you, please subscribe to the channel. And once I've gained your trust and you want to learn even more about portrait photography, top links in the description is my one-to-one portrait photography coaching program where I personally go on calls with you, I critique your work, and I just provide you any photography advice that I have gained over multiple years of experience so you can start accelerating your portrait photography progress now rather than later. So again guys, if that's interesting to you, top links in the description is where you can check it out and learn more. Okay, so are ProMist necessary in your portrait photography? Well, I've been using this specific ProMist filter by a specific brand that makes lens filters, and it's safe to say that it's yielded me great results. So what is that specific ProMist filter, you may ask? Well, if you've seen my older videos, you probably know what it is because I've mentioned it before, but it's the Moody FX lens filter by Prism Lens Effects. Okay, so what can I say about this lens filter? Well, it's definitely a very strong ProMist filter. Like on the website, it doesn't tell you like the strength of it, like the number. So usually it's like 1/2, 1/4, 1/8, but I'm definitely thinking around the 1/2 range, or probably what 1/2, maybe 1/4, but I'm thinking 1/2. It also has this really cool starburst effect to it, which is created by these, I don't know if you can see it, but these like lines, these grids on here, which if you don't know what starburst effect is, it basically flares up the brightest parts of the image and creates this more star-like shape flares, which I think is pretty cool if you ask me, you know what I mean? It's a nice add-on. So why am I talking about this today, right? Well, if my channel is all based around making your portrait photography unique, this lens filter will definitely make your portrait photography unique. Obviously, I do not recommend just blindly putting this on your lens and start walking around and shooting with it, because if you're not careful with how you use this lens filter, you will get very disappointing and bad results. So in this video, I'm going to tell you how to navigate this ProMist filter, or any ProMist filter in fact, to get the best results possible in your portrait photography. So how do you navigate a ProMist filter? Well, the ProMist filter, what it does, it creates this like layer of mist in front of your lens, which is great for softening out the highlights and giving this more dreamy aesthetic look in your photos. So first, ask yourself this, right? Are you going for that dreamy aesthetic look in your portrait photography? Or are you going for that more surreal look, for example? If the answer is yes, keep watching. If the answer is no, you can probably just click off this video now, unless you just want to know more. So if you're using a more strong ProMist filter, like the Moody FX filter, or any ProMist filter with a 1/2 or 1/4 strength, I would suggest mainly using that in a studio environment or any environment where the lighting is quite harsh and contrasty. As if you're shooting in a location or a studio, or if your lighting is quite evenly lit, it's quite soft, then it's not going to look that good, because the ProMist filter is, if the photo itself is already quite soft and cool looking, why would you then add another layer of softness to it? The image will just become quite flat and it will just look like someone just breathed on your lens. There's condensation on your lens, right? It wouldn't look good. So when I'm using the Moody FX filter or any ProMist filter, I like to stick to more studio and indoor environments where I have full control over the lighting, and I feel like that gives me the best results when I'm using the lens filter. And if you see my older videos, the best way to get that more elegant and soft look is by using soft lighting. But if you're using a ProMist filter, the image is already going to be soft, so I would preferably use hard lighting to light your subject. Obviously, you can still use soft lighting if you're going to use the ProMist filters, but if I'm using soft lighting when using the ProMist filters, I always like to have a harsh backlight or a top light. As what the ProMist filter will do is actually make that harsh and hard light source from the top light or the backlight glow a little bit more, creating that dimension and creating that depth within your photos. I find that using hard lighting as a backlight or a top light when using this lens filter creates the most eye-popping results, as it literally just makes the top light or the backlight glow in your image. It also gives you like this film look to it, right? Because like halation, but it's like fake halation because there's no red in it, so it's just like it's just glowing. Your highlights are glowing in the image. I think that gives a really cool look to your photos. I like to create a lot of shadows in my photos, and I like to make sure that the lighting is quite high contrast. And by the way, guys, contrast refers to the difference between light and dark. So a high contrast image would be like, there's a massive difference. So there's very harsh shadows and very harsh highlights. And for low contrast, it's basically the opposite. So the bright parts of the image and the dark parts of the image are quite similar. There's not much difference. There's not much of a stark contrast between them both. They're both kind of similar exposure. So I like to use lighting techniques such as Rembrandt lighting, loop lighting, split lighting, basically any lighting technique that creates shadow on my model's face. And by the way, guys, if you're struggling with the basics of your portrait lighting, you kind of didn't understand what I just said there, but Rembrandt lighting or split lighting, I actually have a full lighting course, which I'll link below, which is a full in-depth lighting course where I go fully in depth, everything's in depth, fully in depth with the basics of portrait lighting. And trust me, guys, right? I promise you, by the end of that course, you will know so much more about lighting your models and how portrait lighting works and how to actually light with intention. So I won't just tell you how to light, but how to light with intention, with the theme, according to the theme and the style that you're going for. So if you're interested in that, guys, links in the description below is where you can check it out. And with this specific Pro Mist filter, obviously because it has the starburst effect on it, right? If you put the light on a certain angle, just off frame, right, you can create these flares in your photos, which is something that you may want. And I think it's actually a great way to lead the viewer's eyes to the subjects, as it kind of creates that leading line onto the subjects, right? And I feel like it just looks cool as fuck too. But obviously, if you think that's too much and you think it's too exaggerated, a normal Pro Mist filter will do the trick. I'm just mentioning the starburst effect because obviously that lens filter that I use has that effect, so I feel like I need to mention that, you know what I mean? And if you want to buy the specific Moody FX filter or any lens filter by Prism Lens Effects, I actually have an old discount code that you can use for 15% off the Prism Lens Effects products. All you need to do is go to checkout, put FILMJD, so put FILMJD, so code FILMJD at checkout for 15% off all of your Prism Lens Effects orders. So overall, guys, this is just a great way to make more unique portrait photography, and also a great way to start experimenting with different types of lighting techniques and just different ways to compose your images in your portrait photography. And you never know, guys, you might try this out and you might think, actually, this is the way I want to shoot. This is the type of stuff I want to use. This is the lens filter I want to use, and I want to navigate the lighting and that type of stuff and the compositions and the angles around this filter and the abilities of that filter. In my personal experience, I've found that actually I don't want to really get this look in my photos, which is completely fine, but I'm happy that I've experimented with this technique. It's not as if I didn't like it, it's more because I found this new style that I feel like I want to pursue more now, but I'm happy that I've experimented with this and I've got some really good photos with it. Anyway, guys, that is it for the video. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys found this useful. Guys, let me know in the comments below. Do you use lens filters? Do you use Pro Mist filters? Should you use Pro Mist filters in your work? Anything to do with Pro Mist filters, comment down below what your thoughts are. By the way, if you want to learn even more about portrait photography, maybe you want to learn about what Pro Mist filters or what other lens filters you should use in your work, my coaching program is linked below. All you need to do is click the top links in the description, check it out and learn more. And like I mentioned earlier, I also have my lighting course, which is linked below. Guys, very cheap, very simple course. It's like an hour-long course. I literally just go over the basics of portrait lighting. And well, guys, watch that video and you watch that course, and you'll just learn so much more about portrait photography. So again, that's linked below if you want to check that out. And also, if you're struggling with the basics of your camera, so like shutter speed, ISO, aperture, I actually have a free video course, exposure triangle guide video course, which is also linked below. All you need to do is go on my website, scroll down a bit, see this little block, put your name, email address in, click get your guide, and I'll send you that guide for free. Anyway, guys, that is it. Click on any of these videos here to learn more about portrait photography, and I'll see you next time, guys. Goodbye.